Hi, welcome to Fiberchats. My name is Irina. I'm the host here. My guest today comes from Osaka, Japan. We have Anne from the dyer behind Itobito yarns. Hi, Anne.
Hi.
Thank you so much for meeting me at this late hour. I really appreciate it.
No worries at all. Yeah, I'm a late owl myself, so it's fine, totally fine.
Well, let's talk about your knitting journey. Like, when did you learn how to knit? How did that happen?
Oh, okay. I started when I was about 18, right after high school. So I have this friend who wanted to knit, to learn how to knit for the longest time. And she asked me whether I want to join her to learn how to knit, because the place that she found is actually underground in the shopping complex, and it's very dodgy, it's very dark. So she wanted a friend to accompany her. So I said yes, because I wanted to learn how to knit as well. So from then we learned, but it was really, how do I put it? Because it's just a yarn shop. It's not a proper place where you learn knitting. So we learn as we buy yarns from them, and then the list go on. I still have my project, my very first project from the shop, which I never managed to finish, which is this long scarf. The yarn is made of acrylic.
You're almost
Sorry?
there. You're almost there. It's like it's so long. Like you can probably
but I only have one small yarn ball left, so I'm not sure if I can make it, enough to make the whole thing. I also started with really heavy needles, like metal needles. I didn't know about other type of bamboo needles or something, because it was what recommended by the yarn shop. So these are the needles.
Oh, those are like heavy duty.
Yeah. So I didn't really enjoy the process at the time. So I stopped for a while, and I only started again knitting when I come to Japan, because the weather is so good here for knitting, and there are so many yarn shops, and the community is big here.
Well, I mean, so to me, Japan, like when I'm thinking of Japan, and I'm fascinated with Japanese culture, you know, whether it's food or the nature or knitting, right? So to me, Japanese knitting associated with like the Japanese knitting Bible, with like the most complicated cables and like most complicated designs. What's your experience? Like when you moved to Japan, like what was your experience? What do people knit?
In fact, before I moved to Japan, I was exposed to knitting books, which are really, really complicated. But when I actually come to Japan, I find that people are more open-minded to knitting materials and also patterns. And quite a lot of them actually follows designers from Reverie. Yeah, but of course, the locals also have their own publications and the Japanese way of knitting. So it's actually a bit different from the Western style of knitting. Yeah.
But between knitting and going into dyeing business, that's like two different animals. Like what
Yeah.
dyeing yarn?
For me, because I followed my my husband to Japan because he was transferred here for work. So I become a housewife. But I took like 1.5 years to 2 years of Japanese study so that I can learn the language here. And after that, I was thinking, what should I do with my time? And that's where I picked up knitting again. And I found out that there are a lot of hand-dyed yarns, but it's really difficult to get them in Japan. So I have to import them from overseas, and it's very expensive. That's when I found out some of the local dyers here, the hand-dyed yarns in Japan, but they are also really difficult to get because they're all always sold out so quickly. So I decided to try hand dye on my own for my own use. I got really excited, and I cannot stop dyeing because I love it so much. So one day I thought to myself, why don't I use this opportunity to see if the market would accept my style. And if they would, then I would continue to do this as a business.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so when you were learning how to knit, you went and you took a class. How did you learn how to dye? Like what information did you find and how did you learn?
I normally just go to YouTube and see how the step-by-step, the basic one. And then in the end, I try out different techniques on my own and see how they worked out. And it's all experiment and continue experiment. And even up to today, I still experiment every day. Yeah.
But to me, like yarn dyers are very interesting crowd because it's like this mixture of scientists and precision, right? Of like you need like that many grams of that yarn and like temperature and whatever acid bath. But then there is also an artist because each yarn is completely different and each dyer creates different colors and different feel. Where do you see yourself? Like, are you more of a scientist or more of an artist when it comes to yarn dyeing?
I would say I'm more of an artist, but I'm also in the balance because I cannot create whatever that I liked if I don't have the basic to support me. I also have like about 10 years or more experience in graphic design. So with the use of color and my experience, I use them to create the yarn and the colors that I liked. But of course, I have to know the basics on how to dye yarn properly, to set them, to dry them, how to skin them before I can, use it. Yeah.
I mean, was there ever like any disasters in the
cooking? Oh, plenty. plenty, so many. I have, there's one time when I was drying the yarn, I didn't know that I cannot put on top of the stove because it would burn. So it actually burned. So I was quite scared at that time because it just went into flames. So I had to stop the fire. Yeah, that was one of the biggest incident that I experienced.
Well, so when you come up with the new color, like what gives you the idea of a color? Like what inspires you as far as colors go?
When I came to Japan, is whatever that I experience every day, and from traveling in Japan, that's what inspired me the most. And also depends on a team. Let's say if I set on a team that I want to make, then I will keep on thinking and brainstorm on ideas of what color combination is good for that team.
Do you have a favorite kind of base that you like to dye?
I would say sock base because that is so versatile. I can use it on whatever that I want, on a sock or a garment or a shawl, accessory, anything. So it's a very versatile kind of base. And the combination is merino and nylon, 85% superwash merino and 15% nylon. Yeah, so it's a very versatile base. Well, but I think the one that
I have two skeins from you, and one is the 100% superwash merino, and the other one is mohair with silk combination.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love these colors. They don't they come pretty close.
Thank you so much.
I love the fact that even though they're like very soft colors, they also there is a lot of depth to them. Like there is a lot of variety of colors within the color. And I really love that. Like because
thank you so much. The 100% merino single ply is one of my favorite as well because it's so soft. And when you knit it up, when you wear it, it's super soft and it's also very warm. Yeah, I hope you love it.
I absolutely do. I actually I'm thinking of some special project to knit with those two skeins. So
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, what gave you idea of trying to expand your business to American market?
Actually, I have not thought of expanding my business to America until Tama approached me and asked if I'm interested to sell in America through her shop. And I thought, why not? Is an opportunity, is to, to market my brand and to reach out to more people. Before she approached me, I do have a few customers from America and from a few other countries other than Japan. But I think the shipping fee is quite expensive, so it's not really cheap for them to buy my yarns just for like maybe one yarn, one skein of yarn alone probably is the same cost for the shipping as well. So it's not very practical. Yeah. So with Tama's help, I think it's helped my brand a lot. And also Purika Yarn and Tamayura Yarn, which is the other two yarn dyers that Tama took in. So I think she really helped us to expand our horizons, our business to America.
Well, what's that like? Do you have a dream about where you see your brand going? Like, do you want to have like a huge shop with multiple dyers working for you, like, or you think it's gonna stay a one-woman business?
I don't know. Actually, I like to be in control. I mean, I'm not sure. I have not worked with other people, which is like my stock order. Even before coming to Japan, I work mostly alone. And my partners are all mostly business people.
Okay.
So yeah, whatever that I do, I will like report to them. So I don't have someone who's reporting to me. So I'm not sure how I would respond if I have a worker to work together with me. But I'm quite happy where I am now as a yarn dyer, but I would like to have a bigger space with more equipment to work on it. I think that will help me to increase my production and to work faster as well. But so far for expanding, I think if I have a studio, it would be best.
So you dye yarn, do you have still time to knit, or is it became like all about business?
That is a very, very good question. Recently, I think I have lesser time to knit because I'm always chasing orders. And these days I'm doing a lot of pre-orders. So I take in orders and then I have to dye for them, take in orders and dye for them. So I don't really have much time for myself, but I'm being more, how do I put it? I schedule my time more nowadays, and I like to keep the evening time for myself, for meeting, for anything that I can do on my free time, so that I won't burn out in just doing business and dying. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you look at your business, right, there's like many sides to it, because you have to come up with the colors, you have to order the yarn to dye, you have to do ordering, you have to do actual dyeing, you have to roll those things, packaging, shipping, all of that, right? Customer service.
Yes.
If you could delegate some of those tasks, what would you do yourself and what would you delegate?
I would like to delegate all the packaging stuff away. Sometimes I do like to do that because it's a mindless kind of job, right? You don't have to think much. But if I had that kind of time, I might as well do some knitting on my own. So packaging is one thing that I would like to subcon it out if I could. Another would be designing the website, to take control on the website's updates and blogs and everything like that. Because now I'm doing the website in 2 languages, English and Japanese. So whatever that I do is mostly translating from English to Japanese, and it takes up quite a lot of time.
When you see people knit with your yarn, like, what does it feel like? What do you think about it?
The first reaction is I'm so happy, and I'm very proud that they are actually using Itobito yarns to knit, because I feel that knitting takes a lot of time. And if you really like my yarn, then only you will use my yarn to knit something that you like. But if you don't like my yarn, you wouldn't use that kind of money, you wouldn't spend the kind of money or the kind of time to knit with it. So yeah, I feel very proud and very happy that some people actually use my yarn.
Well, if you were like to do a sales pitch, right, to somebody about like why should they buy indie dyed yarn versus just going to a store and buying commercially manufactured yarn, like what would be your pitch for all the indie dyers out there?
Oh, that's a really good question. Yeah, I would like to explore that one day. Pitch, I would say that the experience is totally different. Knitting with hand-dyed yarns and commercially made ready yarns, because everything is made by hand, and you get to choose different bases as well. Not because commercially ready yarn, mostly the bases are stagnant. Maybe 1 year they will increase, or 2 or 3 years they will increase one different type of base. But for indie yarn dyers, they would have like a few different bases that would change throughout the year, especially in Japan because we are 4 seasons here. So like in summer or in spring, we'll use more lace yarn, and in winter we use more like alpaca, warmer kind of yarns, DK weight kind of yarns. So I would say that it's the variety and the experience that you get to knit with hand-dyed yarns that is very different than commercial yarns.
What kind of projects attract you? Like when you choose for yourself what you're gonna knit, is that because you're knitting in the evening? Like, do you go for something like Netflix kind of projects that you don't have to think much, or are you drawn to some new techniques, new ways of construction? Like what attracts you in knitting?
I would, at one time, I would have one project which is a bit more challenging, and one more project which is easy and just mindless knitting. Smaller project like maybe a pair of socks, and the bigger project would be maybe a sweater. So when I would exchange, I wouldn't feel bored knitting or any one of them. So I think it's a good balance to have 2 different projects going on at the same time.
I mean, you know, being the self-employed, like people think you have more flexibility with your time and with like what you want to do when you want to do. In my experience, being self-employed means you have no time to do anything. Like you do everything, you do like 17 businesses in one. How do you like spoil yourself? Do you ever take time to like spoil yourself, do something just for yourself, like treat yourself?
Wow. Not really, because I like knitting to begin with. So that for me is a treat. I just would like to have more time if possible to do more knitting on my own instead of just dyeing. Because even nowadays, I dye lesser for myself. I make more for others. So I think at one point of time, I would need to draw back a bit and think of what I want to dye for myself, because that is what started with Itobito.
Right.
And I think that if I dye something that I really like myself, I can convey the message to my customers as well.
I mean, honestly, like I feel like if I went into a dyeing business, there would be no business because I would want to keep everything for myself.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking as well. But nowadays, I think I picked up one new hobby recently, which is camping. I'm so into camping nowadays that I want to do a solo camping next month. Yeah. So maybe at that time, I was also thinking of which project I would bring to the camp. So yeah, everything I do is related to knitting. So. Yeah.
Do you get inspired when you like in nature? Do you get inspired for new colors?
Yeah, absolutely. I get inspired everywhere, especially when I'm outdoors. The things that I see in Japan is so different than the things that I see back in Malaysia, my home country. So like even the flowers, when I first came here, I was like, wow, I absolutely have no idea this flower existed, or this place existed, or this kind of scenery. Even the sunset here is so different from the sunset in Malaysia. So these are all the nature stuff and the surroundings that inspire me.
So when you see something like that, right, like you see beautiful sunset or you see some new flower that gives you idea for the next color, how do you record it? Like, do you take a picture? Do you memorize it? Like, how do you remember all those ideas?
Of course, I would take pictures, but at the end of the day, when I look back at the picture, I would think, what does the picture give me? Kind of that kind of feeling. How does it makes me feel, and how do I convey this kind of feeling with the picture that I saw into a color? Yeah, and into that collection. Because let's say if I'm doing an autumn winter collection, and if the color is too bright, like very yellow or orange, it doesn't really match into the autumn winter kind of image, then I would maybe keep it for next year.
Well, I mean, you ever frustrated when you're trying to achieve certain color and it just doesn't come to your vision exactly?
Yes, many times. That's why I say experiment. I keep on experiment. And the recent club, which is started in February, I actually struggled with the colors because I know my team. It was Alice in Wonderland, and it's supposed to be very focused, and I should know what color that I would like to use. But eventually, I tried so many times, and I couldn't get the colors that I want, the effect that I want on the skin. So what I did was I sit back, I stopped dyeing for a few days. In fact, I stopped dyeing for like maybe 1 week, stopped knitting for 1 week. I don't even watch Alice in Wonderland. I just cut myself off from Alice in Wonderland. And I began to see other things, exposed to more other things. And when I get back to my dyeing pots, I find that it's more refreshed. I get more ideas, I'm more refreshed, and then that is when I start to get the colors that I like.
I like that because I feel like we often like get into the routine of something and we don't allow this time to rest and like let our brain wander sometimes. And
yeah,
it does make you for a better artist, a better creator at the end.
Yes. I also feel that I get burned out very easily if I keep on doing the same thing again and again and again. So to me, it's good to fall back for a while and rethink of what I want to do now and put things off later sometimes.
Is it difficult for you to recreate colors, and do you do that, or is it like limited amount and the next time it's going to be different colors? Like, do you ever do the same repeat colors?
Sometimes I do repeat colors. I do have like a catalog of colors that I have created, and if anyone would like to do like to request for a sweater quantity, I would reproduce them for them. But I feel that what Japan, I mean the trend now in Japan is more to new yarns, new colors. So what I experimented was if I put out old colors with the new colors will be gone faster than old colors, and the old colors will just remain there and stay. Especially when, because nowadays I'm doing more pre-orders. So each pre-order I get this amount of colors, like let's say 100 skins of color A and 50 skins of color B. So these are the customers that know what they want and how much quantity that they want. So the next time if I put out the same colors, no one would want them because they already have them.
Well, who are your customers? Like, is it the same people coming back to you time after time? Do you always get new clients?
I think I did some, there's these statistics that I saw on my website. I think I get about 20 to 30% new customers, and the rest are returning customers. So yeah, my pool is quite small.
Well, I mean, are those customers who like return customers became your friends basically because they're your like core support team?
Yeah, I do have a few of them who are really close, who I'm very close to, and we get to chat, and even though it's not knitting stuff, yeah, it's kind of fun.
How is your social media treating you? Like, what's your relationship with social media? Do you use it as a marketing tool mostly, or do you use it for personal, like, inspirations, ideas?
I'm mostly active on Instagram. So that's where I get news on what's trending and stuff like that. And I also get like notification when some of my customers make something with my yarn so that I can go and see them. And I also post. I don't post so often nowadays, but I used to post more often. And I also use stories to convey sometimes whatever that I'm looking now, what collection I'm looking now, or sometimes it would be showcasing of my customers' work, and sometimes it's just like normal daily life of what I do. I have a cat, so I normally would just take picture of him and post it up.
I mean, cats are just the best companion for any knitter, I feel like.
Yes.
What do you think is different between like knitting in Malaysia and knitting in Japan? Now that you like know both cultures, like what's your observation?
Okay, when I was knitting in Malaysia, I get a lot of negative remarks. Some would say, "What are you doing? Why are you knitting in this weather?" And some would say that, "Why do you need to knit something where you can just buy?" So it would take me a lot of time to explain to them, this is my hobby, you know, it's different from buying something. And yeah, but it's difficult to get like a certain type of materials in Malaysia because it's so hot. It's hot all year round. So let's say if I want something, I want a merino wool 100% kind of yarn, it's really difficult to get them. And instead, we have more cotton, silk, and linen kind of blend. Yeah. So yeah, I get a lot of negative remarks when I knit. But in Japan, is people just knit. So many people I see knitting on the bench and just like spend their time away. It's just like a type of different hobby to them. But in Malaysia, it's totally different.
Right. Well, when you see people knitting in public, is that something like you must start a conversation immediately?
I would look at them and my heart would like skip a bit. It's like, I see someone knitting. And then I would just like peek if they are knitting using hand-dyed yarns or commercial yarns or anything, or what pattern they are knitting. Some, I think I've met someone in Amirisu in Kyoto. It's a yarn shop. And the one of the customer approached me and said, "Oh, this scarf is from what pattern?" And so I was like, yeah. So we just started a conversation just like that because of a common topic of that certain pattern that I knitted.
Have you ever had a celebrity moment when somebody recognized you for being the yarn dyer?
No.
Not yet, right?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Because I think most Japanese are quite shy. They wouldn't come up to you and say, "Oh, hello, Ansan." No, I don't think so. I have not met anyone like that before.
Yet. We're hoping that it's you're gonna get into the celebrity status there, and people gonna be approaching you on the street and telling how much they love your yarn.
Oh, that would be wonderful. That would make my day.
Do you ever buy yarn from other yarn dyers?
Yes, all the time. I like to support the community, and I want to know that they are. I mean, like I support them as well. But of course, not all the time because it would fill all my closet with hand-dyed yarn. But now it's quite full already. So, but I like to keep them because it reminds me of like we are in this community. We are in the hand-dyed yarn business, and yeah, one day I would like to have a skein or two of each of the hand-dyed yarns in Japan.
Well, I mean, if you buy yarn, right, like what attracts you to yarn? Like what your eye catches? Like I know that like when I go to yarn festival, somehow like I see every blue yarn that the place has. So it's like I'm always like I might not even buy it, but like my eye always gravitates toward like color. When you see yarn, what you see? Like, do you go for certain colors, for certain textures, do you have a project in mind when you buy it, or some like new interesting dyeing technique? Like, what catches your attention?
I used to have a thinking that I would like to buy yarns just for a certain project, but once I get more used to knitting, I find that buying yarns just for the yarn alone is so satisfying. So yeah, I would normally choose like really speckled yarns or yarns that are more colorful, and something that when I see it, I would want to think on how this person dyed this yarn. Yeah.
Well, if you think about your journey as a yarn dyer, right? Like from the very beginning when you watched the first couple YouTube videos to where are you now? Like how different you are as a dyer today than you were at the beginning?
Oh, in the beginning, my way of dyeing is more experimental. Now it's more focused on a few different techniques that I know works for my style. But at the same time, I would like to explore. I would like to explore more techniques. It's basically to do with my techniques. And previously, it's like more basic kind of technique. Now it's getting more complicated. But more complicated doesn't mean that the product sells. So sometimes I have to know which product sells better and use the same technique in a different color, something like that.
Well, I mean, are you ever surprised, like you think that like you create a color and you think, oh, this is going to be my best seller, and then nothing happens. And then you have a color that you don't particularly like even, and you question, like, should I even show it to people, and it becomes your bestseller? Like, does that happen?
Yes, yes. Yes. Oh, I cannot imagine, because yeah, I had that kind of moment a few times already. So I was quite shocked and surprised. How come this doesn't sell? I put so much effort in it, and I thought of so many different kind of ways to make this so beautiful, but yet, why is this not moving? So yeah, I get that. I get that. And for something that takes for something that's less complicated, that sells, those are the ones that sells faster.
I mean, what's your best selling yarn? Like, what was like they absolutely like flew out of the shop the second it got there?
I don't have like one specific color, but mostly it would be the light colored ones with micro speckles, because that is my specialty, I can say. Yeah, so yeah, those are the ones that goes off the shelf faster. But sometimes in one collection, let's say I have like 8 kind of new colors, I would want to put like 1 or 2 colors that are totally different from the rest, and see how the crowd would take the color, how would that like the color. If I see that the pre-orders are not coming in or something like that, then on the next update I would change something like that.
Well, I mean, do you ever wake up in the morning and you're like, okay, I got it, I know how to read my customers, I know exactly what they want, put things there, and then realize again that we're back to square one and you don't know what they want?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, I feel that whatever that I like, if I can convey whatever that I like to the customers, then maybe they can accept it. Because I really cannot please everyone. Yeah, because all of my customers, even though they like my yarn and then they keep coming back for my yarn, maybe they have something that they like, something else that they like as well. So I would like to explore more on that instead of just the same old try and tested way of creating colors.
I mean, you mentioned that you getting every once in a while feeling that you burned out. do you ever have like that customer experience that something just goes wrong and suddenly you question like, why am I even in this business? And like, I should never have started.
So far, everyone is quite patient with me. They are very nice people. No, so far I think they are all very nice to me. Yeah, I would like to continue this business. But at one time I had some experience with shipping, which because I'm not very organized at that time, so some of the orders got shipped wrong, to the wrong address and to the wrong people. So I have to fix that, and yeah, just that. But those are fixable.
How did COVID affect your business?
Actually, I started my business during COVID. During, I think in 2020. Yeah, I just celebrated my second anniversary of Itobito. So I think a lot of people tend to stay at home more nowadays. So knitting, if they picked up knitting, then they can continue to knit at home, because you actually don't need to go out to knit. Even if you want to buy yarns, you can just order them online. It's a very homey thing that you can do. You don't have to go out. And also because I think that because you don't go out so much, you don't spend money outdoors, so you get to spend more money indoors. To me, I think my business grew quite well during the COVID. I mean, in the time of COVID now. So after the borders are open, I'm not sure how it will be. Yeah.
Well, so when you work on some collection, right, how far ahead are you planning? Like right now, you're working on February. Like, do you also work on something that's going to happen like next month, next week? Like, how far ahead do you plan?
I wish I could plan like 1 year ahead, but I cannot. Normally, it's just one season ahead, like 2 months maximum. But let's say if I have a club, which is going to be a year long, then I'll know that which month that I'm free for the clubs and which month I'm free for the bigger collections. Yeah, something like that. But I don't really have a planned schedule on what I should dye now or what I should dye later, or create now or create later. I don't really have that.
Well, describe me your day. Like, you wake up in the morning. How do you break your day between your business and all the other things that you want to do?
Okay, so because I still dye at home, so that I'm using my kitchen to dye. Normally I will start after lunch, after we finish our lunch, after the kitchen is not in use, then I'll start to dye. Before that, I will just check emails and see if I have any new orders coming in. If there are orders for ready stock, then I will prepare those for shipment on the day. Then I will proceed to dye after lunch until like maybe 6, 7 before dinner, and then I'll wrap things up and prepare dinner.
Well, since you're from Malaysia, but you're living in Japan, when it comes time to lunch and dinner, like, what do you pick? Is that like what's comfort food for you? Do you go for Malaysian dishes or for the Japanese?
Oh, it depends on the season, I think. If it's really cold, I would love to have curry, because I mean, curry is difficult to find in Japan. Japan kind of curry is like North Indian kind of curry, but for Malaysian curry is quite different. So I would miss eating those during the colder days. And yeah, but I would say that our meals nowadays are mainly Japanese in the lunch, because it's easier to prepare. Yeah, Malaysian food is quite complicated and the ingredients is difficult to find here.
Right. Do you think being a cook helps you with the yarn dyeing? Because like I was talking yesterday to Susan Crawford, and she mentioned that her daughter is a professional chef, and that somebody told her that any chef is a better yarn dyer than like non people who are not into the cooking? Like, do you
Really?
do you think that's true for you?
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. But I think because we as dyers stand in front of the stove the whole day in very long hours. So I think that helps. If you can stand there in front of a heating, I mean, instead of a stove and in the heat, especially in summer, then I think you can make it. Because not a lot of people I feel that can withstand that kind of so-called burden, because standing for a few hours and then not taking rest and also in front of heat may be quite stressful.
You think you're gonna start your own YouTube channel one day explaining how you dye yarn and sharing your knowledge with the world?
Maybe not yet. But I do have a YouTube channel doing like vlogging about my projects. But now I stopped doing it for a while now because I have no progress in my knitting. So it's been stopped for a while. But one day if I can, I would love to teach like really basic how to dye yarns.
Do you ever toy with the idea of natural plant dyeing techniques? Like...
No, because I know from a friend, from Pirika Yan. She was the first person in Japan that I know started natural dyeing with natural plants and natural stuff. So I saw her process is not easy at all, and I don't have the patience to learn all those. Although I do, I can see the beauty of the technique, and the color that they come out is very different from whatever that I'm doing now.
You see natural yarn without any dye, right? Like just off the ship, basically spun and made it into a yarn. Do you like those, or do you immediately imagine them in color?
At first I would imagine them in color, but after trying it on my own, I mean, after I know the kind of yarn in my pan, I tried dyeing them. The result is not what I thought it would be. So because dyeing with natural elements, natural yarns like non-superwash and superwash is totally different. How the color spread, and also using acid dyes and non-acid dyes, the result will come up totally different as well. So if it's meant to be natural color, I would think that it's better to stay that way.
Can you show us some of the yarns that you dyed?
So I like I mentioned just now, I have this club called Alice in Wonderland Club, and this is the first yarn set that I made.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, so this is the blue that I was cracking my head to create. And then this is the second installment, which I just shipped like last week. I have 2 samples here. This one is using non-superwash merino, and this is using the sock-based yarn, which is a superwash. So you can see the difference in the color spread is really different.
Right, it's interesting how it's different. Like it's similar, like you can see that
you can see that it's a family, but it's so different from one another.
Right.
Yeah. And then I have some colors that I'm sending to Tama soon. So from my spring collection, these are the few ones. Yeah, like this is called Calico. I'm not sure you can see the color.
Beautiful.
And this is called Marigold. I think it's too bright.
Too bright, yeah. Yeah, this is nice. Yeah, like this is like you can see it.
This is Calico.
Yeah, I love how it's like it's very subtle, but it has this like the speckles make it just all so playful.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are in the United States, you can check out the Knitters Without Borders, and this is where you can buy all those yarns basically.
Yes, please check us out.
Well, I can't wait to see what else you're gonna create because I love your colors. They just have this like
Thank you so much.
like I love the depth and the femininity of them. I don't know. There's like something very special about your colors. When I look at
Oh,
your
thank you so
Instagram,
much.
it's like it's almost like fairy tale feel to that somehow.
The concept that I mean, my style of yarn is always soft pop colors with speckles. So maybe that's why you have that kind of feeling when you see my yarns.
Right. Well, thank you so very much for being my guest today and for telling
No
me
worries.
about
Thank you
your
for
yarn.
having me. Thank you so much for having me.